What's up, everybody? It's that time of year. It's time to talk Bears season opener, regular season opener, not that preseason nonsense. It is Monday Night Football. It is Vikings coming to town to take on our beloved Chicago Bears. Big Jack back with Glenn here for a Bears preview video in week one. Line opens with the Bears being 1.5-point favorites. It's shifted to them being 1.5-point dogs. Total is at 44, I think, right now. Not a ton of storylines going on heading in this game. I guess maybe you could argue the left tackle question marks with, ultimately landing on Braxton Jones, as well as is Jalen Johnson going to play or not? Is he going to be on a pitch count? Who knows? Big Jack, where do your initial thoughts go with this season opener?
I mean, I guess if we just start kind of right where you led me into, don't feel great about Braxton Jones week one. I really don't think that they feel great about it. I mean, the way that Ben Johnson has spoke about it this entire time, it's kind of like, well, I guess he's our guy. I mean, they didn't even announce it fully until a day ago. So, you don't love to see that, but you got to feel good about the other upgrades they made on the offensive line with Tooney coming in, Dahlman at center. I'm not as high on like everyone thinks, we're going to be fine at right guard with Jonah Jackson. I don't know if that's true. I mean, I guess he's certainly going to be better than Nate Davis in what we've had the past 2 years over there. So, it's encouraging in a way, but I'm not like super fired up about the right side of that line either. Darnell Wright is borderline like losing his job to Ozzie Trapillo. I don't know what's happening over there. I don't feel as good as the kind of narrative locally seems to be about the offensive line. As far as Jalen Johnson goes, it sounds like he's going to play to me. I hope to God he plays. But to your point, he very well could be on that like pitch count type thing. As much as I feel like I want him to play, he's obviously one of the best defensive backs in the league. Certainly top 5 any way you want to slice it, if not top 3 potentially. And they got maybe the number 1 receiver out there in Justin Jefferson. Of course, you're going to want Jalen Johnson on the field. At the same time, I think it would be silly to really push it over the line in week one for a guy who hasn't stepped on a football field a lick in the preseason. So hope he plays, but I probably won't be too upset if they're a little cautious with him, because I think I would be pretty livid if they kind of went over the top and it derailed this season before anything even got going. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with, what you mentioned about those particular, positions and injury concern heading in. Justin Jefferson also coming off an injury. He hasn't done much during preseason either, but, I think Justin Jefferson at about 50-60% is probably better than damn near 90% of the receivers in the league. So he'll be a beast either way. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with like position-wise injury stuff heading in.
Yeah, and I didn't tee you up for this, but I guess probably the biggest national storyline is going to be J.J. McCarthy in his first regular season start, I believe, in a big spot at Chicago on Monday night. If there is no Jalen Johnson, maybe the Minnesota coaching staff feels like they can attack the Chicago secondary. I mean, we'll see. But I'm sure that's going to be a big storyline, too, is not rookie, second-year quarterback, but in his first regular season start, J.J. McCarthy against Caleb Williams in a season where hopefully he takes a big step forward.
Massive, man. Absolutely massive. I mean, we'll get to it as part of the keys, so a little bit of a teaser. But, yeah, I think if you look at the roster, you pull up Minnesota Vikings depth chart, you'll be hard-pressed to find a better roster top to bottom in the NFL. You really will. The addition of Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave on an already solid defensive line, the additions they made on the offensive line. I mean, dude, they are just loaded top to bottom. But to your point, we know nothing about J.J. McCarthy. Obviously, as a first-round draft pick, you like to think a guy like Kevin O'Connell with the offensive success that he's had and, how well he's already done in his short tenure at Minnesota with a variety of guys that you might not think would do very well. Just revitalized Sam Darnold's career, won 14 games with the guy. I kind of think he's probably pretty good at identifying talent. Part of me thinks there's a good chance J.J. McCarthy will be good, but all you saw him do in college was turn around and hand the football off. So, you didn't see a lot from him to really know too much. Beyond that, he was deemed to be a first-round talent. He was drafted as such, and we'll see. I feel like every time we talk about the NFC North in general, I keep saying there's so many question marks because there are, with everybody pretty much but the Packers, really. And one of the biggest one of them all is J.J. McCarthy. So as we know, how the league works, that roster, great. But if J.J. McCarthy can't be the guy, I'm not sure it's going to really go all that far. Or, Kevin O'Connell's going to have to do a hell of a coaching job to kind of gear the offense away from, kind of cover him up if he needs to. So I have no idea what that offense is going to look like week one. I imagine they'll lean on the run game, especially since the Bears blow against the run, but we'll see.
Yeah, and then the last big national storyline, most likely, Ben Johnson. First game as a head coach. He's proven that he's can be a successful play caller at the offensive coordinator spot, but this is different. You're the head guy. You're the one in charge for the Chicago Bears. A lot of people seem to think that they have their guy. I'm hopeful that he's the guy. He's the next McVay, O'Connell, young coach that is impressive, but now it's time to go out and do it. Any initial thoughts on that?
I think that's what we're all hoping and praying and would die for in Chicago, man. It's
for sure.
Lovie Smith's the only guy who's had any sort of real sustained type of success over the course of our lifetimes, at least. And, that was quite a long time ago at this point. So, we need someone who's going to right the ship and keep us kind of downwind for hopefully the next decade plus. So very excited to see that. There was an article that came out where all the defensive play callers sort of ranked who they thought was the toughest offensive play callers to scheme against. Number 1 and number 2 were, Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan. Number 3 was Ben Johnson. Thought it was a little lofty. You're putting him ahead of Andy Reid. You're putting him ahead of Kevin O'Connell, like we mentioned, and there's others. But that's where people see him in this league. That's where he was. The Bears, for the first time ever, went to the top shelf and got the guy that everybody wanted. And we'll see, man. I'm certainly excited. It's a lot of pressure. Like you said, we've seen plenty of successful offensive coordinators, defense coordinators in general, who slide over to that head role, and it's like, good God, man, what happened? So hopefully that's not the case with him, and I'm excited to see how it plays out on Monday night. He has obviously good familiarity with Brian Flores' defense, different personnel. I'm sure they're going to be doing some different stuff than he was able to do in Detroit with this Bears offense, but I do like that. I would imagine he has a good idea of how he wants to attack that defense, playing him twice a year for the last 3-4 years that he was in Detroit.
Absolutely. All right, as we look forward towards this Monday night matchup, which I will be in attendance for, I'm pretty stoked about it. As usual, we'll go to the 3 keys to a Bears victory. This week, Jack's got the keys, so I'll tee him up for his first key. Jack, what's your first key to a Bears victory?
So sick it's a Monday night game, too, to start the year, man. The Bears are maybe record-wise still kind of low, but always the charter franchise, man. They know it's a draw. They're nothing better than getting the national spot. Key number 1 for me, I'm actually just going to kind of keep rolling with the Ben Johnson trend because I think, like it or not, in my opinion, this is probably something that's going to be on him more than anything else. Last year, the Bears had 17 opening offensive possessions. 11 of those 17 possessions went 3 and out. Not even like a first down or didn't result in points. 3 and out, 11 of 17 times. That is, like, when you really think about that, that is fucking lunacy. Like, absolute lunacy. That cannot happen. They have to get off to better starts over the course of the year. But certainly Monday night against the Vikings, they didn't play. Preseason game number 1. I'm not going to criticize that too much. I'm not an NFL head coach. Ben Johnson is getting paid a lot of money to make those decisions, but I expect them to come out and score a touchdown and convert 2 points on the first drive if they didn't feel like they needed a preseason game to at least take a couple snaps. So key number 1, that first drive, you got to make some progress, move the ball down the field, at least pick me up a fucking first down and, make us feel like we're moving in the right direction.
I love it. In this day and age, you hear a lot about scripting opening drives. It makes you wonder how the Bears were so unsuccessful last year in their opening drives, but hopefully this year it changes. Hopefully their golden boy, their head coach that they're paying a lot of money, is able to scheme up some things to put the offense in successful spots to come away with some points on opening drives. And, you start out scoring some points with the opening drive. It sets you up for a strong game offensively. So I like that. I like that key. Key number 2.
Key number 2 is going to be dig your heels in on the defensive side of the ball and just man up and stop the run, man. Don't make it easy on J.J. McCarthy in his debut. You know they're going to try to get him some layups, and they're going to try to lean into that run game, and make it easy on him so he doesn't have to feel like he's got to be a hero and do too much out there, especially week 1 of the season. Justin Jefferson coming off that injury, I'm sure there's no way he's going to suddenly be 100%. Jordan Addison is suspended. He's not even involved in this game. They're going to run the ball. They're going to want to run the ball. Just dig in, stop the run, force J.J. McCarthy to do something. We were so bad against the run the past couple of years. I know there's some stats that don't necessarily bear that out. But, dude, you watch the games, the EPA per play, all the stuff in the run game is just pathetic on the defensive side of the ball. Our front has been absolutely horrible. I don't think we did nearly enough to address it personally. Hope Grady Jarrett's leadership makes some sort of a difference. I hope Montez Sweat is playing like his hair is on fire. Hopefully he's a man possessed this year, because 5.5 sacks is the team leader last year. Less than one every 3 games when you're getting paid $25 million plus a year is absolute joke. So he needs to step up. Grady Jarrett leads them. Hopefully they kind of take everyone else under their wings. Gervon Dexter maybe takes a little bit of a jump this year. Maybe he can be that guy in the middle, alongside Billings. But I don't know. Is Billings, is he hurt? Do I have that right, or is he playing?
I don't think so. No, okay. I think he's playing.
So they got to stop the run. That's key number 2. Make sure they load up the middle. Don't let them run all over you. Aaron Jones, for whatever reason, seems to dominate every time he's on the field against the Chicago Bears. Do not let that run game beat you to death.
Yeah, I mean, your last point there took it right out of my mouth. Aaron Jones is a Bears killer. Just has been, no matter what jersey he's in. Hopefully this time around it's a little bit different. The other part of this key that can't be overstated, or can't be understated, I don't know what the way to say it is. The run game will help a young quarterback. So if the Bears can stifle that run game, it makes it a lot tougher on J.J. McCarthy, who in his first NFL start, if they can establish the run, it will help him a lot. So I think that's a huge key. Completely agree. They were bad against it last year. They need to be better, especially in a game like this with a young quarterback. So I completely agree with that key. Third key.
Third and final key. It's an obvious one, kind of, going to be a theme throughout the course of the year. It's week 1, Caleb Williams versus J.J. McCarthy. I know it's not fair to boil it down to just a quarterback matchup in the NFL. I get that. I'm not that much of a meathead where I think otherwise, but I don't know, man. You're the number 1 overall pick. You let Drake May come into Soldier Field last year and just embarrass you. You lost, you played fine against Jaden Daniels. That was just kind of a fluky Hail Mary. We know that nonsense that kind of went down. Bo Nix running all over the league. He's like one of the most bet on people for MVP this year. Dude, be the man. Be who everyone thought you were going into that draft. We know you got the talent. It's time to start putting it together. I do still think there's certainly going to be growing pains over the course of the season. I know it's a lot to expect it to really, fire in week 1 the way that I hope it does by, week 10 or so. But J.J. McCarthy's never played a game in the NFL. Just fucking man up, go over there, take care of business. Be the alpha. Just be the alpha on the field. Do not allow your team to lose to a rookie who's never taken a snap under center in the NFL.
It's a great key, obvious key, but it's obvious for a reason. All right, Jack's 3 keys to a Bears victory. Let's have some first drive success. He's asking for at least a couple first downs, ideally some points, but can't have no 3-and-out nonsense. Second key to a Bears victory: stop the run, dig your heels in on defense, just stifle that run game. And then key number 3, Caleb Williams, you got to ball out. You got to show why you were that number 1 pick. You got to be the better quarterback in this game at a bare minimum, but go out, be the guy, be the alpha, get your team the W. I like those keys, Jack. They do those 3 things. They could be looking at a Bears W Monday night. What's your head thinking? How's it gonna go?
Well, first, I just wanted to jump back and say I thought that Billings was a chance that he was hurt, because I'm realizing that he's listed behind Gervon Dexter on the depth chart.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Dexter is the nose this year. Dexter was a 3-tech in the past, but under Dennis Allen is
in the
getting
new
switched
system.
to the nose. Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe that's why I was overlooking that for a second. But either way, I think I love the Vikings roster. I'm not betting the Bears. I don't have any intention to, not going to like invest in them this week. I do think they find a way to win this game. I think there's got to be enough juice in that building, going against a good team with a great head coach. But I think they got to have it at home. They know how big of a game it is. Open up, on the right foot into the Ben Johnson regime. I mean, like we talked about, Caleb Williams, starting to assert himself as, the quarterback we all expect him to be.
Yeah, I'm hoping for a Bears W. Like I said, I'll be there. Betting wise, I probably would bet the Bears if I were to bet the game one way or the other, just because it is a home game. They opened as the favorite. I know public money has moved it, but I think I would go Bears. The other angle I like in this game, I like DeAndre Swift one way or the other. You like the over?
Yeah, I love the over. I think there was a good run of Bears overs, and I just think that their defense is not going to be great. Even if J.J. McCarthy doesn't look spectacular, I still think Minnesota's going to find a way to score points. It's sitting at 44 as of this recording, I guess. But I don't know. I see the Bears winning this game. I see them scoring, 27 points. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Vikings are kind of right in that 21 to 24 window. I don't think it's going to be lopsided by any stretch.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I like DeAndre Swift rushing yards, whatever the total is. I don't know what the amount is, but I think I like that a lot in this game. All right, any closing thoughts on this game? Obviously, you've given us a lot, but any last thoughts before we end the video?
I mean, week one is, you can't never call it a must win, but I do think it would just be so massive for the momentum over the course of the season, the vibe out there, getting a divisional win on Monday night in a national spot with a lot of people kind of high on Minnesota, low on Caleb Williams. And I just think it's a good way to send a message that, Ben Johnson is going to be the man, and this team might not take, the big hurdle all the way to jump frog into a playoff position in year one. But they're certainly going to be a force to be reckoned with, and something that, people haven't seen in Chicago in the past 3-4 years now.
Yeah, to your point, can't call it a must-win, but there's only 17 of them, so they all feel kind of like must-wins. That's the beautiful thing about NFL football. It feels like every game matters so much, and I can't wait to watch. I can't wait to be there, but no matter where you are, I hope you enjoy the game. Make sure you like and subscribe. Hopefully the Bears get a W for us all, no matter where you're watching. Jack, hit it for them.